Yesterday we had instant karma in a local English school here in Murcia. It's a British school, and the kids are Spanish, and I'm one of the assessors there. I go there to teach methodology. A kid in the class said the word 20 and the word water with an American accent, but the kid's Spanish. Teacher said you shouldn't speak that way. It's low class because you should say 20 and water, because she wrote the words on the board and said, you see the T in 20? You should say that T because you see it. You see the T in water, you should say water because you see the T. And the kid took the chalk and wrote the word 1 and 2 on the board and said to the teacher, this is one, but you say 1. You don't pronounce the E at the end. And this is 2. You don't pronounce the W, but you see it. So you're telling me I'm speaking badly if I don't pronounce the T in 20 in water, but in the word 1 and 2, I should not pronounce everything I see. So what's the rule here? You're not making any sense. And you could see the teacher was dumbfounded at the kid's brilliance because he saw the stupidity of the English language. She was telling him, you must pronounce the T in 20 because you see it. And don't speak like those low-class people on the other side of the Atlantic. And he said back to her, but in the word 2, T-W-O, you don't pronounce the W. So are you low class? And she said, no, that's the correct pronunciation. So he said to her, then what's the rule? I mean, is it low class or not when you don't pronounce all the letters? She couldn't say yes because she was guilty of the same thing. Truth be told, that 99% of the words in English, the British do not pronounce all the letters. Americans do that in 99.1% of the words. Okay, but the teacher kind of stepped back because she realized the ridiculousness of her comment that you must pronounce the letter because you see it. And she stood in front of the board like, you must pronounce, do you see a T? You must pronounce that T. And the kid went up there and said, T-W-O. Do you see the W? You must pronounce the W, but you don't. And the teacher wanted to say, well, in this case you don't, and in that case you do. There was no rule. Suddenly she realized that she was getting paid to teach a language that the kids in the classroom immediately realized was chaos. There's no rules. How ridiculous it is for British people to think Americans don't speak correctly when British people don't pronounce the letters in any of the words. They leave out so many of them. Okay, but it was instant karma because a little kid who's coming from Spain, a language where what you see is what you say, realized immediately that there's a contradiction in what you are telling me, that I have to pronounce what I see when you don't do that either. And afterwards I had a coffee with the teacher and I said, don't underestimate these kids. Because Spanish-speaking people already know a language that I have to say is perfect. What you see is what you say. Every letter is pronounced the same in every word, always. There are no exceptions. Okay? And when they learn English, they immediately see the stupidity of it. Okay? And it's difficult to tell students that the British English is superior to the English because British people pronounce the words more clearly, when in fact, they don't pronounce many of the letters in many of the words. At the end, I told the teacher, don't try to get into that with the kids because you'll never win. You'll never win. The English language is a total mess. And the fact that it's the world's #1 language is because of the Americans with Hollywood and, internet and after World War II. But it's a mess. And because of that, we're earning a living. So be thankful for that. It takes many more hours to teach English than it does to teach Spanish. So if you're an English teacher, you'll probably have a long career ahead of you.